Hi, everybody. Just give me 1 second. So thank you for joining us over your lunch hour today for our virtual business growth luncheon in sponsorship with EDR and the NSBA. My name is Emily Mantler. I'm WESC's administrative assistant, and I would like to give a big shout out today to today's webinar sponsor, Peter Lucas Project Management. Our topic today is From an Idea to the Kitchen, the Prairie Grazer story, and is presented by Meghan Hawkins and Cristie of Prairie Grazer. If you have any questions for them as we go through the presentation, they ask that you just put them in the Q&A box, and then they'll monitor that. And then if they need further explanation from you, then they'll ask you. As always, the webinar is being recorded, and so it'll be available on demand viewing. You'll receive an email tomorrow around this time with a link to the recording. And with that, I'll pass it over to Meghan and Cristie.
Thanks so much, Emily. We're actually really excited to be here today. I'm actually presenting from my classroom. And I know Cristie's presenting from her office today. So we're in two different places. So hopefully you can kind of see both of our screens as we continue on here. And Cristie's got full control of that PowerPoint. So here we go. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate that you're taking time out of your day to connect with us either over lunch or to obviously watch the recording. But we're really excited to talk to you about this business we've been growing over the last 2 years. So like Emily said, my name's Meghan Hawkins. And as you can see, Cristie is on here too, and Cristie is my business partner. She's co-owner of the Prairie Grazer and also my amazing friend. And we're just so thrilled to be here to talk about something we're truly passionate about. So if you haven't come across our business before, we make handcrafted artisan boxes and full-on grazing tables, which truly become a work of art. And we use as many local products and ingredients as we possibly can. So local to Saskatoon, local to Saskatchewan. And that local piece has really been kind of the foundational pillar of our business over the last 2 years. So today we're going to share a little bit about our story, a little bit about our journey, everything that's kind of led us to where we are today, about 2 years into our business. You're going to hear us talk about some of the things that have been a serious challenge, some of the things that have been a struggle for us, but some of the celebrations too. And there's been lots to celebrate along the way. But like I said, the biggest thing that you're going to hear is our passion. Now, we don't attest to know everything about owning a business at this point or running a business. So please share and talk about all of these things with a grain of salt, because we're still learning along the way. But we hope that you can take something away from this. At the end, our goal is truly to just inspire others, particularly women, and to let women know that you can actually do all the things. Sometimes it's a little messy, and Cristie and I often have messy days trying to create some balance, but that you can be a mom, you can be a wife, you can be a sister, an aunt, or whatever you need to be, but also to be a career woman and to be an entrepreneur too, to follow your passions. Cristie's going to lead you through a quick overview here, and then we're going to dig into all the fun stuff.
Awesome. Thanks, Meghan. Welcome, everyone. We're happy that you joined us today. So I'm just going to give you a really brief overview of what we're going to talk about today and some of the points that we're going to touch on. So first of all, we'll give you a little bit of background about our story. We've got kind of a unique story about how we came to be. So Meghan's going to share a little bit about that. And then we're going to talk about why we decided to start this business and where this all kind of came from. We had some unique considerations that we had to think about along the way, especially starting a business during a pandemic. So we're definitely going to touch on that. And then, like Meghan mentioned, we definitely had some struggles. So we will kind of go through what those hurdles were and some of the steps that we had to take to overcome those things, especially in starting a new business. We're also going to touch on social media leveraging. Social media has been such a huge part of our business. So we really want to talk a little bit about that and how we were able to use that to our advantage. And then we're going to talk a little bit about knowing our customer. Customer loyalty has been very important to us from day one, and customer appreciation. So we're going to touch on some of the ways that we like to do that in our business. And then we'll kind of dive into the steps we took towards expansion, and, you know, those unique considerations that we had there. And then we'll kind of end off with talking about celebrating some of your accomplishments.
So where did the Prairie Grazer actually come from? This is kind of an interesting story, simply because there was really no plan for the Prairie Grazer. In the summer of 2020, I actually headed out to BC. My parents live on Vancouver Island, so I headed out to BC with my family and spent a few days in Tofino. And in Tofino, there is an amazing brewery, Tofino Brewing Company, and right across the street is this place that we had heard about that had this kind of unique little charcuterie experience that you could pick up and go to the beach. So while sitting at the brewery, my wheels started spinning, and the lineup was so long, like you could not even get into this charcuterie shop to essentially see even what it was. I still haven't been in it. I just know it exists. But the amazing thing about it was I thought that this was something that Saskatoon was truly missing out on. Like what a cool way to essentially snack, like to be able to pick something up and go to a park, go to the river, go to one of the amazing places that we have here in Saskatchewan, and particularly in Saskatoon, especially in the summer, to just relax on the beach and have this amazing charcuterie box. So my wheels started turning, and just like the slide says here, in the most Saskatchewan way, the Prairie Grazer was born around a campfire. So Cristie and I were actually camping with a whole bunch of our friends, and we essentially started talking about this idea in particular. Cristie was pretty quiet about her enthusiasm to start out with, but quickly jumped in. And then we honestly just started thinking about what we could do that night. And we were actually talking about this just the other day. That night, while we were supposed to be going to bed, we were literally talking about all of the local businesses that we could essentially pull together into these charcuterie boxes, and how we could essentially grow these other local businesses by including them in one place or in one box. So it was kind of an interesting transition from an idea to like, maybe we should really do this. Maybe we really have something here. But then the business itself was really shaped quickly in the fact that we started to see that there was a demand for these individually packaged boxes, essentially because of COVID. So for entertaining meetings, any kind of corporate function, we really saw that this could essentially be something that people would really like. While a grazing table is beautiful, during COVID, it wasn't necessarily something that most people wanted to engage in. So the business kind of transformed from something that we thought would be neat for the beach to something we thought would be amazing for all of these corporate gatherings. And then it was just, what can we gather together to essentially put into these amazing boxes? I'm going to get Cristie to switch to our next slide here. So the biggest thing for us was that we did not have a clue what we were doing, because neither of us owned a business previously or have a business background in any way, shape, or form. And both of us were not entrepreneurs. So really the biggest thing for us is we started before we were even ready. We did all of the things that we needed to sort of do by asking all of the questions. At the end of the day, as I've already alluded to, I'm actually a teacher with Saskatoon Public Schools. So I teach alongside running this business, and Cristie's a labor relations officer. So our backgrounds are definitely not this. However, we had a passion for creating something amazing that was locally produced. We had a lot of determination, and we had some experience in the hospitality industry. So we already knew that we wanted something that was consistent, so a consistent product. We wanted something that was easily duplicatable by people around us when we started to grow our team. And we really just wanted to make sure that we were producing a product that was second to none. We essentially just started to ask for help in everything. So we started to seek out expert advice. One of the really kind of cool things is we didn't actually realize, I don't think, when we started, how many people we actually knew who could help us along the way. So we actually started our business working out of a commercial kitchen space, and the commercial kitchen space was actually run by people that I had previously worked with in the hospitality industry. So it was a great way to connect. It was obviously amazing to connect with those girls and learn everything that they needed or that they knew already about being in the business. And we had an in to a commercial kitchen space. But we also had to figure out all the licensing that we needed and like all the rules we had to follow. But we really relied heavily on the people who obviously worked for SHA all of the licensing boards to get us where we needed to be. While we started before we were ready, we made sure we had everything in place. So that was our insurance, all of our licensing, including our health licensing, our business licensing, everything like that before we got started. So that part was really key to us to make sure that we were running a business that wasn't just being run out of a place that wasn't necessarily fully licensed or anything like that. We wanted to make sure that we had everything in place so that we were running a really legitimate business, because if we were going all in, we were going all in the absolute best way. So we did seek out a great commercial kitchen space. We worked out of the local kitchen, which most people know in Saskatoon. We worked out of the local kitchen for quite some time, and it was a great experience. We learned a lot being in there because we got to work with other local businesses as well, which really shaped kind of what we needed to do as we progressed. Am I forgetting anything, Cristie?
No, I think you got it all.
All right. I'm going to turn it over to you then.
Awesome. So we've mentioned this a couple times in that piece of supporting local was what was really important to us, and one of the main reasons that we started this business. So we kind of tried to keep that in the back of our mind in every decision we made, and we've stayed true to that almost 2 years later, that we really still strive to support as many local businesses as possible. Obviously, you can't get everything locally. Grapes are unfortunately not grown in Saskatchewan all throughout the year, but wherever we can support local, we definitely try to. Meghan mentioned earlier that, that first night that we came up with this idea, we were laying there trying to think of, the different businesses that we could incorporate into our boxes. And, companies like Gravelberg Mustard were like the first ones that popped into our head. So we were kind of quickly making a list of these local businesses that we knew we loved, that we had to incorporate. But then we had to do a lot of additional research and planning, thinking, okay, well, how is this box going to come together? What other items do we need? Like, a hummus, a honey, different things like that. And really doing the research to find out what the best local products are and how we can incorporate those into our boxes. So we had to reach out to each and every one of these businesses individually and have that conversation with them, explain who we were, why we decided to do this crazy business. And quite honestly, most people didn't understand what it was at that time, because we couldn't say, well, it's like Freshie, because no one knew what a charcuterie business really was, because we didn't have that yet. So we kind of had to take some extra time in explaining who we were, why we were doing this, what our goal was, and have them take us seriously, because there were a couple businesses right off the bat that I think they were a bit skeptical about who these two random girls were that were wanting to buy some of their items to put into our boxes. So we really had to try and gain that credibility. And what we found was the more local businesses we worked with, the more credibility we gained and the more word spread about us. And so more businesses were willing to work with us and allow us to use their products in our boxes. We also tried to explain to these businesses, and many of them saw the value right off the bat, that this was a mutually beneficial relationship to both parties. So, in exchange for these businesses selling us their products at wholesale prices, because we do purchase all of the products that go into our boxes, we would do some advertising for them through social media. So we would be, sharing posts on our Instagram, tagging them in it, saying, like this jerky is from Meat Chops. And as a result of that, they're getting some free advertising out of it. And then what we found was that we also got some free advertising out of it, because then Meat Chops would go and share our post and people would be like, well, what's the Prairie Grazer? I have to check this out. So it became a really mutually beneficial relationship and a very long standing relationship, because we still have partnerships with, these are just a few of the local businesses that we have partnerships with, but we have partnerships with tons of businesses, both within Saskatoon and across Saskatchewan.
The really cool thing about this supporting local piece too, and you just made me think about this, Cristie, again, obviously, because it was one of the things that was central to why we started to do this, was that oftentimes when you go to the store, there is like a local section, but you often don't buy all the pieces from the local section, right? versus in our boxes, you literally get to try all of these things and then go back to Night Oven and get their great Parisian bread, or go to Safeway or Co-op or wherever you shop and get Hanes hummus because you've now tried it. So that's kind of the cool thing about it, and why we like to use new companies all the time, new local companies all the time, because it essentially just expands everyone's awareness of the amazing local businesses that we truly do have here in Saskatoon and obviously across Saskatchewan. One of the things that I'm just going to point out really quickly is that Cristie is talking about supporting local. So we right out of the gate decided that there were kind of 3 foundational pillars to our business, and one of them was supporting local. The next one is giving back. This was really important, particularly to me, because this is where my passion lies in life, and I know Cristie is equally as passionate about it. But the biggest thing to us was that we wanted to be able to give back to our community. And oftentimes you'll hear us talking about, if you're in our kitchen, you'll hear us talking about what's next, like what could we do next? Who else could we support in our community? We obviously know that there are so many local organizations that need our help. And this was an opportunity for us to be able to build a business and give back in a really meaningful way, which we may not have been able to do just on our own, working our regular careers. So this became kind of the second foundational pillar of our business, which has always been giving back. We wanted to be able to support local families. We wanted to keep business in our community, and we really wanted to help during COVID. That really became something that was important to us, because we did see so many businesses that were struggling, and that meant families were struggling. So how could we truly help with this? To this date, we've developed really strong partnerships with a lot of not-for-profit organizations in Saskatoon. We work with the YWCA regularly. We work with the Princess Shop, and we absolutely love supporting their cupcake competition essentially every year. We work with Interval House. We work with RUH regularly, Ronald McDonald House, and tons more. And honestly, I shouldn't probably say this, but Cristie and I have a really hard time saying no to really anybody. So oftentimes we get emails about donations for families or lots of things. Honestly, we get lots of asks, and we do have a really tough time saying no. So this part has been something that's been great for us to be able to use our business to give back. So not only are we giving back in a monetary way, but we also have the opportunity to give product, which is really great. So we can make boxes for these events, or we can donate boxes for these events, or we can do whatever we kind of need to do to help support our local community. So we've truly donated to a countless number of organizations here in Saskatoon, and it's just something that we're going to continue to do. And it's really great because our staff, our team is just phenomenal. And oftentimes they will say, like, we want to work for free tonight. Don't pay us. Just, we're going to do this for free. We still pay them. But we love that that's become really the, I guess, the culture within our organization, that they're willing to donate their time to help us help other people, which makes us really happy. So the third pillar, which Cristie's going to talk about, is really fostering relationships within our organization and then within our larger community.
Maybe just before we jump on, Megan, that what you just said kind of reminded me of what we did in December with the food bank, and how we were able to get our team involved in that. We kind of wanted to do something unique, and we like to donate to the food bank every Christmas because we know it's absolutely necessary. So we kind of had a goal that, you know, however many boxes we make in December, we're going to donate that dollar value to the food bank. So we had like a little whiteboard in our kitchen with a little number at the top of it. And every day when we were in there, we were, you know, adding boxes to that number. And it was something that our team really jumped on, and they really loved the idea of being able to see that number grow and knowing the impact that we were making throughout that entire month.
Absolutely. And it also encouraged them to make way more boxes than we probably would have, because we started to get closer to a bigger goal, right? And then, it was great. It was awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So fostering relationships, as I kind of touched on this with that support local piece, we really had to devote a lot of time and planning into choosing the products and the companies we partner with, and also ensuring that those companies align with our brand, right? We never wanted to partner with anyone that didn't kind of have the same values as us, or didn't just didn't have the same kind of outlook on business. So we were quite picky, and we still are to date, about the companies that we partnered with, obviously making sure that it's the best quality product. But we did need to reach out to these companies, explain who we are, have those conversations very early on. And this was particularly difficult to do during COVID. Pre-COVID, we could have went out to all of these businesses one-on-one and had these discussions with them face-to-face. Unfortunately, we kind of started when everything was shut down, so we weren't able to have those discussions face-to-face. So a lot of this initial communication was through email. And that kind of adds another level of difficulty in kind of explaining who you are and gaining that credibility. So we did get to make some visits. We went out to Pineview Farms. We did meet with different people, like Johannes from Haynes Hummus, obviously Jordan from Pig and Pantry, and a bunch more. And we've been able to obviously meet our local partners face-to-face over time since then. But there definitely was a level of difficulty in not being able to have those conversations face-to-face right off the bat. After we kind of developed the foundation for that relationship, we really had to nurture those relationships and show them how, by them supplying us with their product at wholesale prices, we're helping to promote their products in return. So really making sure that they're seeing the value in this partnership as well as us. Initially a lot of companies kind of wondered, well, what do you guys get out of this? You guys are buying these products. It's not like they're being given to you. What are you getting out of this? And our response was simply that we wanted to support local businesses. We didn't want to, make money off of these other local businesses. We wanted to be able to incorporate them and really showcase what Saskatchewan had to offer. And it was simply that. So some businesses were a little bit skeptical of that right off the bat, but over time they quickly understood that was our main motive.
Perfect. Okay, I love this slide because it's starting a business and then in the middle of a pandemic. Because I'm not sure that we didn't really take into consideration the pandemic part, which was probably very naive on our part. But this is where the passion came in, right? We were really excited to do this. So we didn't really see the pandemic as being an obstacle. Ironically, we actually saw later on, if the pandemic ends, then what? That was we were thinking about this in a different way because we had only grown our business during a pandemic. So we weren't sure what it was going to look like after, which was something that we really needed to do a lot of thinking about because it honestly didn't cross our mind when we first started. But just like anybody who's growing a business, there are obviously risks and challenges. And risks for us, starting out, it was small, to be quite honest, because we actually didn't have a lot of expectations as to what this business was going to look like. We thought we might make 5 boxes, and we joke about that, but that was legitimately true. We didn't know if anyone would think this was even a good idea. So we thought we might make 5 boxes and that was it. So our original risk and what we put into it was essentially our time and then our licensing fees and our kitchen expenses. But working with a local kitchen was fantastic because we were allowed to kind of pick and choose our hours. So we didn't have a lot of upfront costs in terms of that. But we quickly, as things started to literally expand at a pace that was far beyond what we even expected, the challenges started to arise. I think that one of the most interesting things, and Cristie actually added this here, is this idea of women-owned businesses. And I think it's something that needs to be talked about because it's funny how sometimes our business is still approached as being a cute little business. People often will say that, oh, that's a cute little business. And Cristie and I are like, well, it's not little, and it is cute, I guess. We make great things. But it was interesting trying to break into this realm of business, right? Especially considering we don't have a background in business. So it's been I would say that's been a bit of a challenge for us. We do work with such amazing people though, and we've grown such a phenomenal team that the connections that we've made as a result of both of those things has really kind of broken that bias for us. But still to this day, it's a little dagger to the heart sometimes when people say, oh, it's a cute little business. And we often wonder if if it would be like that if someone else owned it, right? Which is kind of the interesting piece. But in growing this business, we've learned that we just need to accept some of those kinds of comments and just prove everybody wrong. The cool thing though that we started to realize right off the bat is that we actually needed more space. And it was a challenge, but it was awesome because we were showing so much growth. So we had issues with scheduling because we needed more kitchen time. So when you're renting out a commercial kitchen space, like you kind of have to pick and choose your time when it's available because you're working with other companies. But we quickly ran into scheduling conflicts. We ran into essentially a space conflict. We needed absolutely more space than what we had there. And then there were all of the challenges of having to hire staff because we simply couldn't do it all anymore. These were all good things, but obviously still challenges that we had to overcome. Alongside all of this, Cristie and I were still working 2 full-time careers. So I only work 3/4 time now, which is great, although I still have all of these other things that I need to do. And Cristie still works full time. So trying to maintain this balance between our career and our business is quite challenging. However, because we've put in these measures to hire some really fantastic people to grow our team, which Cristie's going to talk a little bit about in a few minutes here, we are able to essentially step away from our business a little bit in terms of being in the kitchen, although we're still in the kitchen all the time. We do try to do it all, and that creates some challenges for us. We're starting to realize that we need to back away a little bit from like the box prep to really focus on our business, the business side of it, which is hard for us to do because it's still our baby, but it's definitely something that we're working on. The other thing that's kind of interesting and kind of tying this back to the pandemic is that we didn't actually have a lot of available resources or places to go during the pandemic to get some of the supports that we thought we needed, simply because the offices were closed, right? Or people were working from home. So lots of this growth, lots of these challenges, lots of the obstacles we had to overcome, we had to just figure it out because there weren't actually resources available at the time. So it was really relying on our local partners who had lots more business experience than us to really help us through that. One of the kind of last things I just want to touch on in here was the benefit actually of starting our business during COVID. For us, because of our business model, there were lots of benefits. Our product was actually fantastic during COVID. Those individual boxes were fantastic. It was great for quick pickup when you couldn't actually sit in a restaurant, but you could come pick up a box. It was awesome, right? So for our business growing during that time, which we didn't necessarily plan, there were lots of benefits for us, but still lots of challenges along the way. Oh, I'm talking about team. Sorry, I thought that was you, but it's me. Okay, I just flipped the page and my name is on it. Yeah, okay, so building a team. You know, that part was hard for us because we didn't necessarily know who we needed on our team. And then people would say like, you should find someone to do that for you. And we were like, no, we'll do it ourselves. So I guess that's the stubborn part of Cristie and I maybe coming out. And we rely on each other pretty heavily to make all of this work. But we quickly found out that we needed a team. We were spending a significant amount of time in the kitchen, just Cristie and I, really late at night, because we had taken on far too much. So we were prepping well into the night. We were prepping in the morning. We were trying to manage throughout like the nooks and crannies of our days, how this was all going to work, shuffling kids, like doing all the things that you need to do in order to make it work. But hiring a team was really important to us. So we quickly hired a few staff to help us. And then we still thought we were good. Like we got a few team members, we're good, but we were still having a ton of trouble getting all the things done. And all the things is like stuff like payroll. Like we didn't know how to do payroll, right? Like this isn't something that we had any background in, or like the rest of our accounting or anything, our website, like all of the stuff that we really didn't have a clue what we were doing. those were the people that we essentially had to hire, but we didn't actually consider them to be part of our team. Like that was, I think, is a tough transition for Cristie and I, was we just kept thinking like, if we just hire more staff to work for us, things will get easier and then we can figure this stuff out. But it turns out if you just hire those people that can do those other things, then everything gets a lot easier. So our team now doesn't just consist of our staff or our team members that work for us in the kitchen and work alongside us in the kitchen, but it's also our advisors, our accountant, our bookkeeper, our website development team, who also does a ton of marketing stuff for us, our realtors, it's our general contractor who we rely on very heavily to fix many things for us. It's our financial advisors, our photographers, it's everybody, right? Our branding experts, and then it's our local partners too. So our team has really expanded from, or I guess our idea of a team has really expanded from just hiring more staff to work with us so that we can still do all these other things, to say like, we are not an expert in any of this stuff, but you are. So we need to bring these people onto our team. Now, Cristie and I will be the first to attest that we didn't always find the right fit right out of the gate. So some of the teams that we worked with originally are no longer part of our team. It was tricky to find the right people that connected well with us and what we wanted. But the crazy thing is when you find the right people, it's just like a flawless, it's just awesome. So I'm going to give you an example. When we were working with Rock and Bloom, who's an amazing web development company here in Saskatoon, we had been really struggling with our website, and there's so many things that need to go into our website that create a whole bunch of complexities. But essentially we were sitting in their office, and it was the first time that we'd been in like an in-person meeting because of COVID, which Cristie and I almost missed because we didn't know we were meeting in person because we had yet to do this. But they showed us a mock-up of our website, and I literally cried, like full on tears, because it was the first time that we felt that anybody who had been looking at our brand really got us, like got Cristie and I and what we were working towards. And it was like worth all the money and all the time and all the struggle to just have this company who finally got us, right? And what we wanted. So I think when you finally find those people who are like in your corner, not for a dollar amount, but in your corner because they see something in your business or in you or in what you believe in, those are the best people. And like, you got to hold on to them tight, because there's not a lot of them out there that aren't driven by something else, right? So those people just make us really happy. Yeah, essentially the other kind of big piece for us is that we're really working now to create some consistencies and some processes within our team to make things a little bit easier. But we're still in the beginning stages of that, right? Like this whole growth of a team and growth of finding the right people, it takes time. And yeah, being 2 years in, we've had a few accountants, we've had a few bookkeepers, we've had, right? Like all of the things that essentially become the challenges of your business. As soon as you can find the right people, man, it makes it all flawless.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so creating a quality product. This was obviously huge for us since our product is so visual. We knew we needed it to be the best. We wanted to incorporate the best local products from the best local companies, and we wanted it to be consistent. So Meghan and I always say that every time you open an artisan box from us, you should know exactly what to expect. It should be exactly the same if you've ordered the same box before, right? So we really wanted to create that predictability and reliability when someone opens one of our boxes, knowing exactly what to expect. Obviously, there are some things that change from week to week. You know, we like to use seasonal fresh fruit. So those kinds of things change, but the core of the box stays the same, and the image and the picture of the box stays the same, right? Finding the right price point for us, because there was nothing like us in Saskatoon yet. We kind of had to pave the way for what this looked like. Luckily, there are companies like us in other cities throughout Canada. So we were able to kind of look to them and say, okay, this is how they're pricing their product based on what they're offering, and kind of establish where we should be in the market based on that. now obviously COVID threw some wrenches into that, and obviously there's been supply chain issues since then as well. So the cost of food is increasing at an insane rate, right? So we often have to be conscious of that and make sure that our prices still align with what we can do, while still remaining accessible for our customers, I guess, so that they know exactly what they're getting for that value.
The other
and
thing, oh,
yeah,
sorry,
go ahead,
I
Meghan.
was just going to say the other thing that was really important to us in creating a quality product was also our packaging.
Yes.
And
Yep.
I don't know that we talk a lot about that, but that was really important to us. So like when I look at this picture, like our boxes are recyclable, all of our parchment paper is recyclable, and all of the ramekins, so all of those containers that look like they're plastic are actually compostable. Everything should not end up in a landfill, which was super important to us, which actually became a challenge. That's why I was thinking about this when you said that, which actually became a challenge because sourcing some of these products during COVID was difficult, simply because they weren't coming to Canada, or they weren't being produced in Canada, which was hard for us to find that, right? So we actually buy all of our packaging from local suppliers here. So we don't order from Amazon or wherever. Yeah. We actually order everything locally, but they were having a hard time getting things from Vancouver or getting things from Toronto. But yeah, that quality in product too, we spend more money on packaging because it's important to us to leave the least amount of waste in the environment as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Meghan, because that's definitely something that we've thought about since day one. And yeah, you're right, we definitely don't talk about that enough. And you know, kind of tying into that, we have to remain competitive, right? Because as we saw more businesses like us start to emerge within Saskatoon, we knew we had to remain competitive despite rising food costs and despite rising packaging costs, right? So, and there's a cost of supporting local, not only the food products we use, but even supporting McBeaner's Business Solutions here in Saskatoon for our packaging needs, right? Like they can't always provide things for the same price as Wholesale Club can or something like that, but we really strive to support that relationship and foster and maintain that relationship over saving a few dollars here and there, because that's the foundation of our business and that's what's really important to us. Okay, the power of social media. So I don't think we actually really thought about this from the start either, and the impact that social media can have on our business, but we quickly saw the benefit in it almost right off the bat. Yep. We, like I mentioned before, we do have an extremely visual product. So being able to show people what you have, and if it's eye-catching, social media is the place for you. Some businesses, this is a little more difficult if you don't have a visual product, but we definitely did. And so our main goal was to just get that in front of as many people as possible. And, you know, especially during a pandemic, social media was the best way to do that. So, you know, we kind of created this niche where we would kind of do a low pan over our boxes after we had created them. And this has quickly become extremely popular. And we have many customers that reach out to us and say they look forward to their Saturday morning slow pan of charcuterie, because it's something that became true to us, right? And it's something that we kind of trademarked and said that this is our thing and this is what we do to make people look at our stuff, right? You know, when people would get a Prairie Grazer box, they would quickly post it to Instagram or share it to their Instagram stories. And then we would share that post, right? So using that word of mouth advertising through social media to get the word out on us is what really helped us to grow so quickly, particularly in our first year of business. And then gaining that credibility, you know, the more followers you have, the more people that are sharing your product and saying, these guys are great, these guys are the best. That's really going to help to gain that credibility that we were working so hard to get right from the very beginning. Staying consistent, and this is something we still struggle with to date, is posting regularly, right? It can be easy to kind of let go of social media and say, well, I don't need to do that as much now. But I think it's just one of those things where you go back to the roots, right? You go back to what made you grow in the beginning and trying to remain true to that. So we still try to post very regularly. We have kind of weekly posts that stay the same. Every Monday we post what our availability is for that week. And it creates that predictability and reliability for your customers so they know exactly what to see, but also trying not to spam them with a million posts a day that, because we all know companies like that, and none of us really enjoy that. And then I think the last thing really to consider with this is you don't need to be an expert at social media to do this. Meghan and I are not experts when it comes to social media. We had to figure out how to make a reel, right? Like it's not, even still to this day, we struggle with this. So I
don't know how to make a reel.
And I barely know how to make a reel. So just knowing that you don't need to be an expert. If you screw up, it's okay. People are happy to see that you're trying and happy to see that you're just getting your product out there. So and just having that quality content that you can put out there is really important.
I think one thing to note is when we first started, and you can scroll back, like you can go back all the way to the very beginning. We did not have professional pictures, and we did not hire anyone to do pictures. It was just literally Cristie or I in the beginning. Now it's mainly Cristie, because Cristie's far better than I am. Like you'll just watch me stumble through this forever. But I think the thing is we were pretty authentic and genuine right from the beginning. Like this is what we are, and this is who we are, right? Mistakes and all, or things like we look back at some of the first pictures that we took and we're like, oh my gosh, you could see the vines on the grapes, and now you won't see the vines on the grapes. So just like nerdy things that we pick out, but the boxes that we post are our boxes. Like they're not done. Like that is going to be a customer's box. So I think that's the cool thing about our product, is that like we aren't making a special box that looks absolutely perfect with no flaws. And although they all look pretty amazing, we don't do a specialty box for a photo shoot. So the images that are on our Instagram are customer boxes, right? So the cool thing is people will say, I think this was a picture of my box that I picked up today. And we're like, yes, it is. That is your box. Yeah. So that's kind of the cool thing about it, is that people start to recognize something that we made specifically for them, right? But I think it's that authenticity and kind of the genuine nature of our Instagram that's a bit of a draw for people. Now we have some more professional photos on there, and we're so grateful for the photographers that we've worked with that have obviously showcased our boxes in the most amazing ways. And it is really cool to see how different photographers kind of capture aspects of our boxes. But from the beginning, it was just Cristie and I and a cell phone camera, right? So to see kind of where it's grown to in a short amount of time with not a lot of technology or ability is awesome.
Absolutely.
This is something that's always been really important to us, and that's customer appreciation on every level. So one thing that I love to do, and Cristie does this too, is that we handwrite cards to our customers and thank them for supporting us. And we've done that from the very beginning. As of late, we have not been as good at doing that as we were. Simply because we're so busy, but this is something that we both know we need to get back to doing. It's actually on my to-do list right now. So I think that's something we really need to get back to doing. But these personalized messages, we love then like having people message us to say like, oh my God, I got a card from you. Because we appreciate people supporting our business. It does mean the world to us. Like every person that walks through the door or places an order is important to us in growing this. It kind of makes us teary-eyed sometimes. And like, we can tell you the first 10 customers, like we know them and we love them and they still order from us. And that's kind of the amazing thing that we've been able to foster over this this customer relationship. They're friends now, right? Which is crazy because we were never friends before we started making charcuterie boxes. But these boxes, essentially, we can gift to people too, which is a nice thing. And we like to surprise people. We just did it a few weeks ago with some of our local or some of our kind of neighbors up in the area of the city that we're in. We just dropped off some some boxes and said, thanks for being our neighbor and thanks for showcasing us and thanks for supporting us. So that is really important to us as well. But I think this, I guess, kind of giving back a little bit to our clients, to our customers, it's a little going a long way, but it is really important to us. And man, do we ever appreciate our customers. We're really working on right now implementing a customer loyalty program or software. This is something that is new to us, so it's obviously something that we're working with our marketing team on, because we do want to honor our customers who come back again and again. The website that we use, or the software that we use, actually tells us who comes back. And I'm frequently watching kind of those return customers popping up. We like to see that number stay consistent, but also grow. And it does that, which is, it tells us we're doing something right. We want to continue to obviously see that grow though. Am I forgetting anything there, Cristie?
No, I think
Okay.
you got it.
Okay, expansion and growth. This part is probably the most exciting for us right now. It's something that, this is why we're building our team, so that Cristie and I can really start working on kind of the business side of our business, which sometimes we don't focus on as much because we're busy in the kitchen. But we, in our very first year, just had a really unexpected amount of growth. Like I already alluded to, we only thought we would potentially make about 5 boxes, and then people would be like, neat, not that neat. So this wasn't something that we had really considered, was this growth. So actually, and Cristie doesn't even know this, but I was having a conversation with one of our team members yesterday who has been with us from the very beginning. And Cristie's going to talk about this in a second. She's going to show you some great pictures. She said, I feel like we're at the place that we were when we were at the local kitchen, where we're getting so busy again, like we've leveled up. I don't know what the right word is to say, but we're so busy again that we now need to figure out, what do we do next? Right. So we did that once and we were like, we got to build a store because we don't have enough space and we don't have enough time and we don't have, and now what? Now what's the next step? Because we're simply just so busy, which we're happy with, like we love it. But there's all these other like branches of our business now that didn't exist before. So it's awesome when your team starts to see like, okay, we're at the next step. Now what, right? So this growth piece for us is really kind of monopolizing our time. We're keeping lots of things under wraps because Cristie and I hold kind of this stuff pretty tight. But the biggest thing for us is that we really want to grow this business more than just what it is right now. But we're dealing with all sorts of things when it comes with that. The more that you grow, the more cost that is involved. So we're hiring more team, we're buying more product, we are buying more packaging, which is so expensive right now. So there's all of this new increase in terms of cost, which we now have to balance with this whole growth idea. We also have no idea how to grow a business beyond what we have. So now we're like doing like the next step of learning, like, okay, what does this look like now? So now we're starting to rely heavily on the people within our team that know this. And then obviously our mentors within the business community, both locally and around Canada, to help us grow kind of to the next step. What does this look like for us? But really, Cristie and I need to start to build this team to a point where we can start taking a step back to focus on this growth idea. Am I forgetting anything else about growth? I don't want to say too much.
Nope. I know it's hard when you're so excited and you want to share these things, but there's a right time, right? And
yes,
and something that I've really been thinking about lately, because we always say we need to take a step back and work on the business, but that's not something that happens overnight. And I mean, we've been doing this business for almost 2 years now, and we're still in the kitchen. So just know that, that transition from working in your business to on your business is not like a light switch, right? It's something that's very gradual and happens over time. And you just kind of have to find that happy medium. So these are some of our fun photos. We recently opened a storefront in December of last year. It was kind of crazy because December is our busiest month, hands down. We are absolutely insane. So we were in a time crunch. We had to open our doors December 1st in order to, and get our health license in this new store December 1st so that we could continue to run our business in our busiest month. So that first picture that you'll see is that was our cupboard at the local kitchen that we stored everything as far as, dry goods in that one little cupboard. And you can see sometimes we would open the cupboard doors and everything would just spill out of the cupboard, like fall out. And then we'd end up having to clean everything up and buy new product. Right.
Yep.
That second photo is pretty like days before we opened, and you can see how much we had to increase our cupboard space by an insane amount. All of that counter space is cupboards. So we went from one cupboard to, I don't know,
So
25
Yeah.
in a matter of days. So, this was a huge risk for us in doing this. We could have stayed where we were and continued to just play small essentially, or we could take this huge risk and really put everything we had into this. And, it says finding the right time there. We didn't really have a choice when we made this decision. We had, the local kitchen was moving and we had to kind of either go with them or find our own space as of a certain date. So, we made the decision to kind of get this build out done in a record amount of time, much to the dissatisfaction of our general contractor. But we did it and we made it happen. So I think that's just kind of a testament to know that, if you have a goal and you're willing to kind of work hard and work with what you got, that you can definitely make anything happen no matter what the time restraints are. So celebrating our wins. This is something that we've tried to do publicly through our social media and whatnot, because it's important to celebrate those wins and those accomplishments publicly, because people want to see you succeed, especially your loyal customers. They really want to see how good you're doing. So we've had a number of award nominations, and we've been finalists, and we've won some awards in our first 2 years of business, and we're so grateful for that. We're beyond grateful to be recognized, especially among some of these amazing powerhouse business owners that we're up against. So it's one of those things that you really want to celebrate because it really helps you to gain credibility in the business world, and it provides opportunities for networking. Many of our connections have come from meeting other awesome business owners at these events. So never be afraid to celebrate that publicly.
Well, and the really cool thing is, like, we just were at the NSBA BBAs in the small business category again, and the business who actually won this year is Motif, and Motif is one of our partners, our local partners. So we love that. Like, we love celebrating alongside of them. We already support that business. So it was pretty great to see someone who we don't consider like a competitor, right? Like, we were just genuinely happy for them to obviously take that small business award away with them this year. So it's pretty neat to be a part of all of that, right?
Absolutely.
Future plans. Okay, I said I wasn't going to talk about too much, but we do have some really big plans to obviously expand. Expansion for us is going to be, we don't know yet. We do, but we don't know too much of how this is all going to look. But we're also really focusing on just maintaining consistency and growing our business. That's like really key to us. Consistency all the time in terms of our product, in terms of the quality, in terms of obviously the service that our customers receive, that it's consistent, but it's consistently awesome. That's what it needs to be. And then we're always kind of just thinking about that next step. What is the next step? And having that conversation, obviously, with Susan on our team yesterday, who said we're at that next step, is kind of an interesting place to be, because we feel it too. So we're always looking for new ways to serve our customers, whether that's through what we would love to eventually do, which is subscription boxes, but there's a lot of complexities that come with that. Mini grab and goes, gift baskets, all sorts of things. We're always working on something new in the kitchen. But at the end of the day, Cristie and I are really big on trusting our gut. And while some people will think that sounds a little wishy-washy, Cristie and I often sit with decisions, and if it doesn't feel right, we don't make it. So I don't know if that's the best way to do business, but that's how we do business. If it doesn't feel right, we know it's not the decision for us. And I think the kind of cool thing about the relationship that Cristie and I have is, if it doesn't feel right for both of us, we don't do it, because we've always put each other before everything else, which again, some people think is very crazy, but it's important for us to, that is the core of our business. So it's the core of our business relationship, is putting each other first and our business first in terms of things feeling right. So I think we're pretty lucky to obviously have each other. We are willing to make mistakes, and these future plans will come with mistakes. They have up until this point. We've made many of them, but we're always learning. And again, we rely on those experts within our team to help us to learn and grow. And we're always learning other stuff. Like the great thing is going to some of these even award presentations or some of the community events that we go to, business community events, the stuff that we learn, oh my gosh, is it ever like growing and shaping who we are? So if you have opportunities to go to any local meetings or anything like that, do it, because it's amazing what you'll learn from other people in completely different sectors of business that you're like, God, that's a good idea, or wow, I didn't know that, or I should read that book, or whatever it is. I think that's been super beneficial for our business growth as we have progressed here.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to rip through this last slide so that we're finished up before 1 here. So some key takeaways that from our experience that we think it's important to have is really that just start before you're ready. Make sure that you have your legalities in place, you have your proper insurance, your licensing, everything like that, but then start before you're ready. You don't need to be an expert in anything that you're doing. Know and appreciate your customers. It may seem like a little trivial detail, but those handwritten follow-ups, those personalized messages, don't send out mass emails, right? Those are extremely important, and your customers will make note of that, and they will come back just based on that. Find a team. Don't try to do everything yourself. And that team is not just the people that work for you, it's the people that work with you, right? So making sure that you have that team in place so that you're not, losing your mind at 2 a.m. at the middle of Christmas. Yes. Recognize that the shift from working in your business to on your business doesn't happen overnight. I did mention that earlier. Be patient with yourself. Give yourself time to really make that transition and grow, and know that you can't do it all in a day. So ask for help when you need to. Establish that consistency and reliability in whether it's a product or service. Just make sure that your customers always know exactly what it is that they're getting, because that's where that growth will come. And if you do have that visual product, even if you don't, use social media to your advantage. Make sure that you're getting your product or your service out in front of people. And social media is the way of the future. So it's a great way to do that. And lastly, just celebrate your achievements. Make sure that, people know when you're excited about something, and it gives them an opportunity to cheer you on as well, and really kind of develop that personal connection with you as a business owner. So it's really important to make sure that you celebrate those. Thank you to WESC and PLPM. We really appreciate being asked to kind of be a part of this webinar today. I know we're kind of running out of time, but if anyone has any questions, we're happy to answer them, or you can always send us an email or an Instagram message. Megan and I are always at the helm of that. So we're happy to answer any questions you might have then too.
Perfect. Thanks, Emily. If you have anything left to ask us too, just let us know. But we're so grateful that you asked us to be a part of this today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Megan and Cristie, for the informative presentation. Thank you to everyone else who joined us today. Just a reminder that you will be able to view this webinar on demand on our website by the end of the day today. Our next webinar is Brand Growth Secrets, presented by Hannah Wheeler of Zap Branding, and that's on July 13th. So if you haven't already registered, you can do that on our website under the events tab. And yeah, that's all I have for you today. So see you later, everyone, and have a good afternoon.
Thanks, Emily.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.